Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Jesse, your DM.
Cody playing Lazarus.
Brennan playing Dis.
Mike playing Nim.
Britt playing Kenna.
And we are Double Doubles and Dragons. We're a group of goofy Canadians that have gotten together to play a little D&D. Sometimes we will say things that are inoffensive. We mean them as jokes, of course, and they're certainly funny to us, but some people may find this offensive. If you do, we apologize, but we don't want any hate mail about it. So just don't listen, okay? Let's jump right into the action.
Comfy.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Maximum comfy, as you heard. So we had a little bit of some off time, so let's do a little bit of catch up for everybody. We'll start with the obvious. I actually only have Kenna with inspiration right now.
I'm the only inspiring individual there is.
Oh boy.
Shit, I don't have inspiration left in.
I don't have inspiration.
No, you used it for...
Something.
I don't
I
remember.
think when we were gambling, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what it was. 'Cause
There's
you
never
your
a better
lucky
reason.
points and your...
Oh yeah, you went into a rage and just get into a fight with people. Forgot about that.
Sometimes people wearing chainmail need to be...
Sometimes
That's
I need to be
right.
taught lessons.
Now, we'll get to the review. Let's talk about inspiration first.
I have one.
Yeah, I know you do. Go on, Dis.
So, Dis, despite getting into a bar fight generally not being the best approach to take things, Dis had had enough with the chainmail guys, and specifically problems arising in, like, things showing up more that the chainmail guys may actually have a problem with Dis. And Dis really took that to the next level and just started a fight and called out every chainmail guy there was in the Stronghold. And gave him a place to fight. He never even argued with Lance about that.
No, it's definitely a very good point. Not necessarily the best idea ever, but it certainly was in character. So yeah, I think we can make that work. That leaves Nim and Lazarus.
Well, I think Nim getting into a fist fight, realizing he was going to lose, and then turning into an ape. And not a giant ape, because that showed a lot of self-control, because he knew the giant ape was a bad idea.
All right.
I think so too, because that could have got us in a world of shit. But he went for it anyhow. And I know Nim knew that that could have been a bad idea.
Yep, sounds good to me. All right, just Lazarus then.
Well, the only thing I really did in the midst of all of that was just suck it up and sit in the sidelines and just let them do their nonsense and heal up afterwards. That's the only thing I did in that.
That is a good point.
The guy that Dis knocked out, too.
Yeah.
I just kind of like hung him back.
Yeah, I'd say, I feel like normally you'd be like, oh, and like stop it. But you were like, nah, let them have their fun. So yeah, I think we can work with that. All right, we have a full party of inspired players.
Which usually means he thinks we're going to need it.
Not long.
Yeah, funny thing that.
Yeah. Funny thing that.
Was literally about to be my next sentence, was like, congratulations, everybody has inspiration. You're going to need it. So, let's talk about what happened last session, for those of us who need a refresher. So let's see. What happened last session? I know you guys met Lance.
Oh, we had dinner with Lance.
Yeah, out in the alley.
Lance shoot his pants.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Also took out some flowers with it.
In the begonias.
Yep. You learned a lot, really. You learned that Lil doesn't like him very much.
She hates him.
Yeah,
We learned that we can block the color ID on the ring.
that's right.
Oh, yes. And you can only call people who've given you permission.
That's right, but it seems like anybody can, like, if we just said, yeah, we give you permission to talk to us, anybody with a ring can talk to us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, too.
Yeah, that does seem to be the gist of it.
That's okay.
You also learned about how you can get into the ether, or the aether, depending on how you prefer to be that pronounced. By the way, if people have a problem with the way I'm pronouncing literally any words, feel free to leave comments wherever you can that my pronunciation is horrible. Because, well, it's really the only way I'd learn, so... If you got a problem with it, let me know. I can't promise I'll care, but I'll at least try to pronounce it correctly.
Which doesn't say that you care, right?
I care enough to try.
Okay.
Not enough to succeed.
Fair.
I mean, if I happen to succeed by accident, great. But yeah, so the ether, whichever, you found a way to get there, but it requires this brooch thing that he left with this other town that was getting half swallowed. It sounds like a whole thing, but it also sounds like really your only concrete information so far of how to get there.
Yeah.
He also seemed to suggest that he's allowed to leave the Stronghold and that maybe the Aether even is a way to leave, which was very good that you told a certain somebody that so he could stop your suicide glyphs from murdering you when you tried to leave. That's probably a good thing to stumble across semi by accident, as I recall. But yeah, so that was kind of the pitch, was he's gonna show you how to get to this town. You can go there and get the item, and then he'll go with you into the ether to kind of guide you and make sure you don't, get trapped there indefinitely. That kind of stuff. So I think that's more or less where we left off. There's obviously a lot of little details in there, but, no need to reshoot the whole thing, so to speak. Anything that people want to bring up that they want to draw specific attention to or remind everybody of? Make sure it's still in your mind. Things like what you're doing.
It's a big list.
Lance Danson seemed to have thought the Queen was spooky. I have lovely in quotation marks.
Lovely in quotation marks.
So
I remember him talking. He's like, "Yes, she's lovely."
yeah, it's sounded kind of spooky.
Well, we do have a nickname.
You know that the ether isn't super solid. Sometimes you can just fall.
Yeah. No, plane of air.
Well, we have... there's the few things we need to deal with at the same time, which is figuring out the bank, figuring out Mary, figuring out if we're doing anything with Red Boots.
Well, definitely got to figure out a couple of things.
But we also have a time limit on this one. How long has it been since we heard the message?
A day, I believe.
Oh, okay.
You guys have been reacting fairly quickly.
I think it's like the second day.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got at least a couple of days to kind of figure things out. We did talk about the bank stuff. For now, what are you guys doing with your money when you're out on adventures? So you got a fair amount.
We need a manservant. Let's give him all the gold.
Well, that worked out so well last
We'll
time.
call him Alex.
We'll call him
Oh,
Alex.
this is going
Wait, don't you
way-
have an Alex already?
Yeah, we do have Alex.
Oh, we know who we
Do we
need.
have like a safe at the drag feeders?
Sure, we have some kind of safe.
I don't think you haven't mentioned that you needed a safe. The insinuation being the money's basically just been funneled directly into your own pockets. But if you'd like a safe, they certainly exist, and I'm sure you could buy one off a blacksmith or something and have them make you one. I assume blacksmiths make safes. That just seems to line up to me.
We could also just convert everything to plat.
2 safes.
Yeah, we'll go to the bank, convert everything to platinum, and
Then have less money to carry. There's still a lot of platinum.
No, I
It's still
think
a
we
lot
need
of
to put the money away. We have
But who do we?
40K.
The problem is if we put it into a bank in the Stronghold. Technically,
that's what I'm saying, safe.
but I don't know if that's super safe. What if we?
So it's not like we're
See
going
the
to
problem with that
It's
one.
not like we're putting all of it, but we need to have... I feel like with an active business that has an income, if we don't have something that's
Yeah.
set up like that, it looks suspicious.
Well, I mean,
It is suspicious.
We don't know how-
Money
I
laundering.
did-
You are totally money laundering at this point.
Are you wanting us to start a bank?
I'm also down with that.
I don't think we have enough money to start a bank.
You can't just start a bank. Everybody knows the growth industry of becoming a bank. You have to start as a loan shark and then you can become a bank.
I mean, we have a thief guild connection.
Everybody knows that's how that works.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We could be loan
That
sharks.
doesn't solve
Here
the
we
problem
go.
of our money right now.
that does, because then we just loan it all out, and then when we don't get paid back, we go break some knees.
Yeah, you're going to be gone for a week or two at least. You can just loan out all of your money now with interest.
Before we do this, put this chainmail on.
20% interest.
This downstairs hideout that we've been living in at Lil's.
Yeah.
Actually, you said she had nicer rooms, didn't you? At her place?
Upstairs, I think.
Upstairs?
The upstairs rooms are nicer because they're available for all patrons. The downstairs is like a private storage area more than it was meant to house you, but it's kind of become that since you needed to hide Mary there.
Can I do a very thorough check around here to see if there's any loose floorboards or anything?
The best kind of safe. The ones that people don't know is there.
Yes, or like a something in the
I
wall.
mean,
or...
it's not a super old building because, like, parts of the Stronghold are very old, especially the ruins and stuff, but the buildings that people have made have obviously only been there since.
Maximum 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like it's a really old building. Honestly, I think if you wanted to, like, lift up a floorboard, you're just gonna have to pry up a floorboard. You're not gonna be able to find, like, a super loose one like you maybe would in like a 30-year-old house. Like you can make a spot for yourself. You're just going to have to actively pick a spot and pull up a board and kind of do your best.
Start pulling apart the bits.
Remodeling.
We needed a place to hide Mary. That's what this board's for.
What's the mattress made of?
Hay. Stuffed with hay.
We're not going to get 4,000 gold coins in a pit in a hole.
The ones upstairs are made of sheep's wool, but the downstairs ones are crappier and a little older. They're made of hay.
We just toss our gold coins in the basement and just make it like a Scrooge McDuck.
I mean, they're all just sitting there in bags in the basement right now.
A Scrooge McDuck involved. Mary just sits down there with all the money.
We just pop in. We're like, you have to sing DuckTales the whole time.
Every time we come back in, have you counted it yet?
Did you count the money?
Okay, well, this doesn't.
You're looking at a weighted version?
No, I'm looking at Leomund's secret chest. Something like that, and then just use that. So if I was to go,
spell.
If I was to go find a Leomund's secret chest scroll, then we could just have a chest that's hidden on the astral plane, and I could just recall it with by casting a spell on this tiny little version of it. But the chest has to be worth 5,000 GP. So it's a little bit of a investment
in the guild.
Well, you know what they say. You gotta spend money to hide money.
So, I mean, in that case, are we not just going and grabbing a couple bags of holding?
A chest?
And then we could each, like,
yeah, we could try and find a bag of holding.
And then it's also an investment,
I think
right?
background was about $5,000 in
business.
Yeah, although the problem is that if the Stronghold
I
I think they're like 2,500 normal price.
Sorry, problem. But then how do we not do that?
So I mean, the chest.
I don't know if there's a fix for that.
The only way to not is if we had, like...
Axes out.
Yeah.
Which we don't. Not yet.
But at least if it's under our control, if the Stronghold does go down, we could go and fetch it.
And we could become loan sharks and turn it into a real band.
No, we cannot.
So sane magic prices says that a bag of holding is about $4,000.
Oh wait, but
it's 8,000,
give or take.
If we can do that as well, like if a bag of holding is only $4,000,
that's not guaranteeing
So
you'll be able to
8,000.
find one. It's just what it would cost.
So 8,000 for a bag of holding.
But we literally store everything in there, and it's on us.
Bag of holding doesn't hold everything.
How much? What is the capacity for it?
It's like a 5x5 foot space inside.
Yeah,
so
it's
we
got
really
a
can't
certain
finish.
amount of. Yeah,
We
we're
overestimated the.
You have to be able to reach it within your hand going in there, sort of thing.
There's always going to be gold then.
and never forget you have to remember what's in there. That's the biggest detraction to a bag of holding is if like somebody's been responsible for putting all the stuff in the bag of holding and then they die.
You have
Not
to know
great.
what's in there, but not where it is in there, right?
You have to know that it's in there and be aware of its existence to be able to.
But
pull
that's
it
fine
out.
because we just kept a list of everything. Then
Yeah, then theoretically.
How much
you'd
did
be
we
fine.
decide a small farm would cost in the Stronghold? Was it 10,000?
Where is my thing for houses? Yeah. Let me pull up some stuff. Of course, the bottom book. Please stand by. I think I had this bookmarked. That's identifying random encounter. Here we go. No, that's ships. Where's the houses?
and a bag of holding can hold up to 500 pounds, not exceeding a volume of 64 cubic feet.
64 feet. Jesus.
Bag weighs 15 pounds regardless of its contents. Retrieving an item from the bag requires an action.
Here we go. So, that's maintenance costs, not construction costs. So the maintenance cost for a farm is 5 silver a day for 1 skilled hireling and 2 unskilled hirelings. Mm-hmm. But building the farm itself is...
We should buy 2 bags of holding. The bee bomb.
Where can
No.
They've got so in terms of construction, they've got an abbey, a guild hall, a keep or small castle, an estate, an outpost or a fort, a palace or a large castle, a temple, a tower, or a trading post.
So,
But not specifically a farm.
so more like whatever is a small household.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like
Maybe
somewhere
outposts?
between like a guild hall and a trading post. Like there's no way your farmhouse is bigger than that.
No.
No.
Is there a pre-made farm that could potentially be for sale?
The biggest problem with finding a farm is finding the land. Like when you make a guild house or like a trading post, chances are you only need like a small plot of land, but if you want a farm, you gotta buy
Well, I mean,
farmland.
depends on how far and scattered we can go in the farming run.
Yes, yeah.
We just need like a square.
Well, and that's another thing is you guys haven't really done a lot of like, let's go find the edge. You know there is an edge because people have talked about it to you, but you haven't actually gone to take a look.
But I also don't feel like we wouldn't want to go right to the edge because then it'd be like 16
Well, no,
hours.
he was just saying like
Yeah.
we haven't explored the outer reaches.
But yeah, I would say it's got to be somewhere. I mean, like building the building is probably so for a guild hall and a trading post. It's got a rough estimate of about 5,000 gold and takes about 60 days to build. I don't think a farmhouse would take quite that long. Like I'd say, like if you were just going to build a 1-level farmhouse just to fit you guys,
Yeah.
you could probably chop that down a bit. But the land might be more, so we'd have to find a balance in there somewhere. Or you'd have to find somebody willing to sell the land to you.
I want to find a portable hole.
But that's certainly another option. So I guess we should clarify that because basically Lance has given you as much time as you say you need. He just said, come get him. And he'll open the portal to this town.
If we say we're going to do
Who?
it. I think
Yeah,
that was the
yeah.
thing,
If
too.
you decide you want to
Who
do
am I
it.
renting the
Business one?
business from?
The Stronghold itself.
Was there ever discussion? I might have it in my notes, but was there discussion of if I wanted to purchase the building, how much that would be?
When you checked into it last, they weren't offering the buildings for purchase because there was such a shortage of space. They were leaving it as renting specifically so that they could reorganize if they needed to. Probably that hasn't. You haven't checked in a couple of weeks, but there's a pretty good chance. Like, I mean, you still see people without houses and stuff, so there's a good chance that that's still being done.
Okay.
That is another good point, is if you want a building of your own constructed, don't forget that most construction people are busy right now reconstructing the market run. Which isn't to say that you couldn't get them, you may just have to, give them a little extra money to grease the wheels sort of thing to get your thing done first. But all of that is, of course, perfectly valid options.
Okay, so where are we going from here? So look for a bag of holding. Is that priority?
64 cubic feet space in it.
Okay, so
And
I mean,
up to
that feels
500
like a lot.
pounds.
How much pounds of gold do we have?
We have 14.
How does the gold poundage work again?
I think it's like a pound
Pound
per.
per gold.
Yeah, I thought I had it in here
Per
somewhere.
100 or something?
No, I think it's like 10 golds a pound.
10 golds a pound?
50 coins of any kind is a pound.
Oh, 50.
So we're going to 50.
We have a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I brought it up, of like, you guys just can't carry around that money with you
500.
anymore.
So I think it couldn't even hold one of our sets of gold.
No.
So, but if we converted it to platinum, would we have enough?
Then we... is it 10 to 1?
Yeah.
10 to 1 on gold to platinum, yeah.
So instead of 40k, we'd have 4k divided by 50 pounds.
So, I mean...
So long.
20 pounds? We could fit everything then.
Isn't that 200?
200 pounds? 50 coins, right? So
Don't forget, too, if you change all of your money to platinum, that's all you're going to be able to pay with.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily
It's
expect
more
people to
like
have change.
we'll pump,
Yeah.
we'll change ourselves.
We'll obviously keep like a.
Couple platinum, and then we'll just split that into...
What are they going to call it? A float.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a float.
So 4,000. Yeah, that's only 80 pounds of platinum.
For how much?
If we convert all of our
Full 40k.
For all of us? Because we each have...
Yeah, so we have
10,000.
10,000 and then I think an extra 10,000 in our group.
So we
12
each...
in the bank. No,
We have 14.
Okay. So it'd be like 82 pounds.
Plus
82 pounds.
2,000 copper and
Well,
959 silver.
Yeah, well,
We can
copper
convert
is
it
like
as well.
that.
Just toss it out.
50,
That's tipping
50
money.
coins of any kind weighs a pound.
Right.
We'll
But
just
we're
go
only
to
talking
the.
about what we're putting into the bank.
We'll just go to the laundromat and promote it by throwing copper out the front. Get your copper, Nathan. Come get your free copper.
We've reached market saturation where everybody's just throwing out their pennies.
It costs more to carry them.
I'm just gonna throw it at chainmail
That was
guys.
Canada's argument.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so what's the plan, guys? What do you want to do?
I think we need to find a banking. No, wait. We need to find a bag of holding first.
Yeah, bag of holding. Because, wait, how
are we even carrying our money?
how are we
right
going to carry our money to the bank?
I assumed quite like he described that just because you got it all at once and you really had no plan for how to deal with it very well, you've just been like dropping sacks of money in Lil's basement for a while now, and there's just this pile of coins.
Dragging it all.
Every once in a while, Mary sleeps on it like it's a beanbag chair.
I'm shoving it in my mattress.
How much for like a Scrooge McDuck vault?
I've also been
Well, like large, because like the vault is pretty tall in the cartoon, but I would say if you went with like saying it's a tower, especially because in here it says it's a fortified tower, is 15,000 gold to build,
affordable.
and takes 100 days to
Do
finish.
you I've watched a video where they tried to calculate from the comics and,
Oh, it's
and the
so
things,
much.
how big that vault and how tall it was. It's like
Okay,
36
so
feet
how
tall.
much would just
Which is gold.
safe cost?
There's not a whole lot in there for safes. If I had to find, you know what? Honestly, I can probably do is just find something that seems appreciable.
I have one issue with the safe, whereas there's an extreme volumetric limit to safes. So is there something we can convert the platinum to like that's even more precious that would be able to be stored in the safe? Because safes are going to like
Not in coins, but you could invest in
it'd
something.
be more like we would have to like
We
exchange
get
it
like
for
agates
diamonds.
or like diamonds or...
Yeah, we'd have
Yeah.
We're getting a stock in the Stronghold.
Because you can literally melt them down. Like, there is a section for if you have a pound of platinum, it's 500 gold pieces. Like, if you melt down platinum to have just a brick, like a pound ingot, then it's 500. But you have to get it changed out then somewhere, obviously. But that, I mean, if you converted that down, if it's 500 gold per pound ingot of platinum, that's how many ingots you guys would
It's an
need?
extra 10.
If we start a bank,
Yeah.
we can start paper.
Yeah, like it's not that. Then I mean, it's not that much. You just gotta melt it down, and you do have a blacksmith on retainer. She could probably melt down platinum for you into ingots.
Someone just walks by, just watches her pour out this massive thing, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Like, what are you guys doing? In terms of a chest, like just a base chest, is somewhere in the order of 5 gold. Now, I mean, obviously, a base chest is made of wood. If you amp that up to being made of like a solid metal, that's got to be at least like 50.
I'm gonna
A
make
proper
the point
securing
that
mechanism.
We live in a magical society,
And then we can grab
and
that
that
chest.
the spell knock exists.
Yeah.
So if we're not within 300 feet of our safe, it might as well be wood because like
Sure.
someone can just unlock.
It's a very good point.
It's
Like
all-
like banks, I believe personally, banks in this world have to do a lot more with security than like a real world bank would. Because somebody could just walk up to the bank vault and be like, knock.
But I suppose the problem there is too, whereas if we did want to be like, if we did take the time and instead looked into scrolls and enchantments, we could basically set up our own basic 5 gold chest to be as secure as we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, you guys
Well,
have
I
spells
have
you
Glyph
could
of
use.
Warding.
Yeah.
So like,
You could trap the
Yeah,
chest.
I could just trap the chest.
So, like- right, and then we could have even like maybe Philly work with like someone to make us like custom locks and like all this other stuff.
The thing is, no matter how complex the lock is, Nox says it unlocks it. Up to a
Right,
limit,
that-
there's
that's
some
just
sort
for-
of
that's just
appreciable
for
limit
the,
on it.
Like the magical.
Well, it only
Yeah.
unlocks, so like if we have like 10 locks on it, it would take 10 knocks to unlock it.
Yeah. Which is fine,
It only
you know.
unlocks one lock
Yeah.
at a time. And it can be either magical or physical.
Yeah.
Can't you do locks of certain types of materials so that you can't use magic abilities on it?
Maybe
Because there's a
lead
lot-
is usually the
Yeah.
one that, but that's usually you just put a coating of lead on it. Here, I'll check.
Yeah. It's good things to think about, though, because you're right. In this world, a safe is not as secure as a safe would be in our world.
But then there's also things like, I mean, you get a 9th level caster in there, it doesn't matter what you do. It's not secure.
No. And I mean, you could glyph of warding your chest, but don't forget, if you glyph of warding the chest and the glyph goes off, like, I mean, it's not going to necessarily blow up all your platinum, but, like, there's going to be damage.
And the 9th level caster is going to notice it beforehand.
Well, no,
too,
but I
like,
can choose.
deactivate it.
I can weave in a spell of my choosing, though. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be an explosion.
No, and I just mean whatever it is you choose to make it do. It's a good thing to think about. Like, that's why I'm not rushing you guys along, because it's a good thing to think about. You're making enough money now that you have to start thinking about what you're going to do with it.
The amount of money we have right now, so in total we have like
44.
around 60,000 gold, because you have 10k yourself, right? Not counting the bank.
I have almost 11,000 myself.
Yeah, so that's 25k. And then, I mean, we have 35, 45, 55. So almost 60k probably. 60k gold, do we... Like, is that even a lot in the Stronghold? Really?
It's a fair amount.
It's a fair amount, but, like,
But it's
how
not,
worried
we're not like sandbagging Wallace Rich here.
Yeah, and that's what I
No.
think, is that if we just use a bank, like just a regular bank here, other than the warning about, you know, if we fuck the Stronghold horribly, we just lose everything. But then again, does it really matter at that point? Where are we going to spend
So
money?
It'd be the same if you bought a
Because
house
money,
here.
Money means nothing.
Exactly.
In the real world.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can convert it to precious inks and copy spells.
I honestly just think
It's not a
we,
terrible idea, really.
that we use a bank.
I think we keep some of it, like we convert to platinum, and we keep a large amount of it ourselves, like something carryable, but that's still a large amount of money.
Well, if
Well, how much did we have before, and we were never really like pressed for cash? We had like a few, like 100.
Yeah, we
Basically, like,
500 with us.
yeah, we haven't had big expenses, so
honestly,
other
like,
clothing
if you guys
yeah,
wanted
those
to
are cheap.
get, and I forgot her name again, the blacksmith,
Philly.
Philly, that's right.
They're cheap.
Like, because 1 pound of platinum, like a 1 pound ingot of platinum is worth 500 gold, you could just get an ingot made for each of you, carried in your backpack. And that should be a pretty substantial Easter egg to sit on.
Yeah,
Sure,
but
so we'd
that
have to
doesn't help
convert.
us like if we go to like a bar. And
No, but you already said you were going to keep loose change and your regular
So it's like
spending
we keep
currency
one
anyway.
500 to 1,000 bricks with us, and then we have our.
That just means you'll never have to start from nothing again. If the Stronghold kicks you out and you go to a new town, you're not starting from scratch. You've got a little bit of coin on you.
I still think we try to look into a bag of holding though, because I think that's one of our.
Yeah, it is a pretty general use.
So I think we go bag of holding. If that doesn't work out, then we look at like a chest with multiple locks on it.
Well,
And
no.
then I
If,
think
if the
we do a
bag,
bank.
why do we want the chest? That's entirely separate.
I think we just use a bank.
We don't
yeah.
want no chest.
No chest, we just do bank.
Yeah,
I
because
think
we
we should
just
do the bank.
finished discussing that our amount of gold isn't actually egregious compared to the Stronghold anyway.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think we're tossing a huge amount here. And if we lost everything, I don't even think that's a big deal. Because if we lost everything, it would probably be due to something that's gone wrong with the Stronghold, and
That's the only
then our
place we
money
can
doesn't
use
really
it.
matter anyhow, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless we.
We should melt some of it down, though. That's
Yeah,
not a
I
bad
think
idea.
so. I think we should keep like a stash.
Yeah, because platinum would still go ways, you know,
Yeah.
if it does go down,
So
we're
like-
like, oh, we still have buckets.
So
like,
like
we can put
1
the-
pound of platinum is worth 500 GP as an ingot.
Yeah, that's what it says on my trades good
So,
trade
like, why
goods
wouldn't we
table.
Keep, like 5 pounds of.
We should.
Because you guys can each carry like over 100
Oh,
pounds
easily,
in your
yeah.
backpacks.
Well, I mean,
So
even what I was going to suggest is that after we get the bank and deposit the bulk, we could even just keep 5 or 6 ingots at Little's too.
Yeah.
as like a secondary stash.
Yeah, which is-
And then
Keep
I
'em
also
with
need to get
Mary
the
just in
basket eggs, 'cause
case.
There's a lot of money left.
If you all die,
That's
maybe
what we
she's
should
got
do.
something to help her out with.
Eggs.
That's not a terrible idea that Lazarus was saying too. Is you might want to store an ingot or two at Lil's
Yeah.
place just in
Yeah.
case you guys don't come back, and maybe Mary would appreciate something to help her get home.
We should also go back to Wallace's because we know the inspector is checking out ground zero for the explosion.
I think we should, but I think we should go back at night so I can steal
Well,
my
yeah.
Fabergé eggs.
But that's what we should go scope it out though during
Yeah.
the day and see what's going on.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well,
We should do that.
by we mean non-Lazarus.
Not Lazarus, yeah. The stealthier.
Scoping out is not in Lazarus's repertoire.
The only scope he is a submarine scope.
Clank, 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 clank.
All right, so you've obviously got all that stuff. So what's the plan there, and we'll figure out what you get.
Alright, so we send off. Well, who's the one who? Well, probably Nim being the business one, and someone else goes to talk about the banks or money.
Well, Kenna and him are probably the most on top of that.
You guys are the most
Yeah,
So
recognizable.
we're just doing bank. We're
Part of
not.
this
We're not even
business.
looking into a bag of holding. We don't care about.
I don't think so, because it's a lot of money right now where I don't know if we get a huge... But it's, a bag of holdings are always used.
You do feel like a bag of holding would probably be like at least $8,000. And I
But
mean, it's
then
not like you
again,
guys have a shortage
are
of
we gonna
coin,
buy
but that
one?
is a pretty big investment overall.
But then, what are we going to buy that's better than that? Really, like, bag of holding, I feel is going to take us a long ways.
Well,
Well,
especially, like,
Mike-
once we're out of the stronghold,
Yeah.
the bag of holding is like.
It maintains its value
Yeah.
for us.
Although Nim gets some stuff that is significantly better than a bag of holding eventually.
Eventually, but the bag of holding's always like, once he gets those, maybe we split up and then it's better, then somebody else can have it.
And to be like, but it's not like us opening the bank account and having that set up. It means we can't get a bag of holding. It's just this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
to
so
get-
we'll go to the bank first.
Plus-
That's just what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, being in their bank system too might lend you some credibility.
Yeah.
It almost
Actually,
always
true.
does.
And I actually like in the meantime, I kind of want to like go to
So-
take Lazarus around some shops and get some basic magic item lists because we don't have any of those from any shops or what we can even purchase for adventures.
That's true.
So I'd like to prepare
So are
a little
we
bit.
all opening our own bank accounts for our individual money,
Mm.
and then a group bank account for our guild money?
Maybe in this case, we just want to group it, everything. Does it even matter if we separate them?
I told everyone from the beginning we shouldn't separate
It's
it.
true.
It doesn't make sense.
It
when
made
we
sense
operate
because
as a
none of us
party.
could
I
carry
didn't
it.
think about it, but yeah, because of how money, like, how it even matters here. That's true. Like, last campaign, I would say we should split and do it all separately, but
This campaign we do everything as a whole.
yeah.
And if we all just have access to the bank, then whatever.
And then we can all just have our own little ingots.
In our bank.
Yeah.
But it's all taken out of that.
Okay, so we're gonna somehow. Okay, so I think we make a few trips to the bank, all of us, carrying each time as much gold as we can, without attracting attention because we don't want to get mugged for our gold on the way to the
I
bank.
mean, if someone wants to try and mug four adventurers walking together, sure, we'll just take their stuff.
It's going down.
Unless they're also adventurers.
Well, then it's just up to the city guards to stop us from tearing boys apart.
Any change
Sure.
in my bag just put on everybody. It's gonna be.
Don't you see? He was wearing chainmail.
Could I carry more if I was like a packlet?
Well, yeah.
Of course you
That's a
could.
good point.
Yeah, mules and pack horses can
They
carry.
carry
Do I
on
have that on my
doubles it, isn't
thing? Like at least, like they carry it,
Well,
like
no,
quite a
when,
bit.
When
I mean,
I was
Nim can
last
go giant
learning,
ape
and when you
carry
get to
all.
a certain size, they get,
But
and especially giant ape,
equals
I think
like
we looked up a lot of
versus
times.
Yeah.
Since once you get to the
mule
large
or
size, I think you're.
horses.
Yeah,
It like
it's-
doubles your weight limit or whatever. Yeah.
Because
So
then I
long
can
as
do
she was a
shape
large
shift.
animal.
So how much gold do you guys have in total?
Oh god.
Okay, I have just over 10,000.
I also
Okay, wait.
have like 10.5.
I have 10.6.
I have 10.8
And then how much is in the shared bank on top of that?
in just gold. Like just shy of 15.
So you've got 40 split amongst the four of you and then another 15 on top of that. So you've got like 55, maybe close to 60 if you lumped in all your other various currencies. Okay, so what does that work out to poundage?
Okay, so
Let's say the high end, let's say 60,000
Divided by
coins
50.
divided by 50,
1200.
1,200.
1,200 pounds.
So, but
How much can each of you, I'm just trying to figure out, like, your trip to the bank. Like, how much can you... Because I think if you split it between the four of you, I mean, like, it's
I
going to
think
be
each of us
heavy, but I
can-
think you could get there.
I
Or
think
I could just change
on
it to back wheel.
average, we can each carry about 100. Like, Nim slightly less, Lazarus slightly more. If Kenna shifts, it's probably closer to 500 per trip.
Yeah, like, if Kenna turned into, like, a pack mule, like, she could carry, like, 200, probably, if not more, by herself.
Well, I mean, you gotta think, like, Lazarus can ride a mule, and
Yeah.
he weighs...
Mm.
How much with his armor?
An indeterminate number of pounds, but a fair number. Yeah, because I think like a horse can carry a rider that's like 300 pounds. They may not appreciate it, but they can carry it.
Okay, so... Let's say we can carry half if Kenna shifts.
Okay. So that's 2 trips to the bank.
2 trips to the bank.
Okay.
And then from there, we'll just deposit everything, make it all liquid bank assets, try to get a high interest savings account.
We're gonna fight for those numbers. We also gotta scout it out first. We gotta
Yeah, we
Just
gotta.
find the best bank.
Gotta find the best interest rates.
What you told me was here.
Okay.
Reliability,
So with that being the case, then how do you go about finding this bank?
market saturation.
Oh, no.
Well,
We can carry a lot more than that. Your carrying capacity is 15 multiplied by your strength. So I can carry 15 times 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said I don't think, like, it becomes a problem in combat when you guys are carrying an ungodly amount of coin, but in terms of, like, limping it to the bank, I think you're fine.
Well, and I also have, I have Tensor's floating disc as well, which can carry 500 pounds
Just
all
Kenna.
on its own.
Yeah, and I think that's
Almost-
perfectly
wait, you have
fine.
12 strength? Or 13?
Just throw a blanket over it.
Just a mysterious floating disc with a blanket over it that makes clinking sounds every once in a while. It's not
How
How large
suspicious
does
at all.
Lazarus have to grow to become large?
You'd have to get in enlarged, but just once.
Reduce you.
No, but I mean, like, how big would Ash have to be to get into that category?
Oh,
If you enlarge, reduce yourself.
it's, what is it? Each size is double the next size, so you'd have to be like double your
I
height.
don't know. I can't find anything about size.
With probably really weird.
It mentions them
proportions.
in the lifting thing.
I think enlarge reduce tells you a lot about it because it basically says enlarge doubles your size and reduce halves your size.
And
Yes, but
enlarge
those
also-
sizes don't correspond with the spell.
True.
I think.
It ups your size by 1 bracket. So if you're a small creature,
He doesn't know what the, like, there's no
What's the
definition of the
large
bracket. Like, is an
What
8-foot person large or are they just a very tall medium?
under Dragonborn, it'll tell you if you're normal or
Dragonborn or normal?
I assume
That's not what
they're
I'm looking
normal.
for.
Oh,
He just wants to know, like, what does he have to do to
Actual
get
size.
to be large? Because at large, you get that carrying capacity bonus, where you can carry, like, double what the traditional number is.
You can specifically say it goes up to another size or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't just do it, but, like, it'd be interesting to know, because then Nim could just, like, enlarge reduce Lazarus to make him a large,
yeah, but
and
it's
he
only
could carry
1
it all
minute,
himself.
So
Yeah, that's true.
Just run real fast.
just run real
So is the intention then you guys are going to ask Lil about the bank? Is that kind of the...
Or we could ask Alex.
Or I could ask, I guess, asking
Alex-
anybody.
Alex could tell you where the special bank is.
Low interest.
Well, I mean, that
Or
might be
really
the best
high.
thing for us, right?
Yeah. Well, we're already laundering money for him, so it might be better to store our money with the people we're already in business with.
It's an
That
option.
steal our money.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're pretty shady though.
I mean, they are called
No.
the Thieves
But then
Guild.
again, we're getting any bank that's not really
Yeah, but
shady to be honest.
we make a large investment in the Thieves Guild, and
Yeah.
I mean that's basically becoming loan sharks right there.
Or at the very least, get your foot in the door.
That's true.
I'm sure they've got their own
Yeah.
loan sharks, so you don't just want to go
Yeah,
stepping
so
on
we
other
don't
people's
have to
turf.
break knees. They
And-
break knees for us.
And you know the Thieves Guild will fucking end anybody who tries to steal the money.
well, yeah,
Stealing from a thief is almost always universally going to get you in some serious trouble.
Yeah.
and we are thieves.
Yeah, that's right. We have our.
Just the two of you.
Just the two.
They
of
were
us.
very explicit.
We're just gonna say we have a lot of money.
I mean, that's another option. Just tell me where you're going so I know who you're talking to.
I don't think it's fair to put it in the Thieves Guild bank when only 2 of you guys are the Thieves Guild.
Okay.
But think of the interest.
Okay, we'll talk to Lil.
Okay.
Yeah, let's figure it out for Bill.
All
So
right.
if I over encumber myself, it just lowers my speed by 2.
Yeah.
I can't, like, not move, so I can still carry more.
Oh, totally. Like I said, it's not... The only reason I'm telling you guys to get rid of it is because combat becomes a hassle when you get over a certain amount of
Well,
weight.
swing
Because
money.
you just don't want
It's got the
that.
Skyrim encumbrance rules where you just
Even if D&D didn't have that rule, I would make that rule. There's no way Dis can do backflips in combat if he's weighed down by 500 pounds of gold.
I start doing damage with the gold
What if
swords,
it's
though, just
all
start
hanging
making
off in
hand
ornaments?
rolls and just doing shit.
No, that's worse. Because then it's all free moving.
I want to throw Gil at people.
It would be like,
I feel like there's a game where that...
Class.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing. Ragnarok.
Yes.
Ragnarok. Isn't that the blacksmith
merchants.
class? The
Yeah.
merchant class. You can just throw fucking money
well,
at people and that's your attack.
It does
Final
so much
Fantasy
damage,
classes
too.
too. Where
Ah, I missed
the thieves can throw gil.
Ah.
They just deal damage to how much you throw.
Anyway, let's not get off topic with Ragnarok. Okay, so you guys are gonna go talk to Lel. Anything? I mean, we can RP it out, obviously. So, if you'd prefer it that way, or you can just tell me what you'd ask her, and we can kind of fast forward to the bank if you'd prefer.
I don't know, do we?
Not like you guys don't talk to Lil a bunch, so.
I don't have a key for it.
What do you need?
1 or 2 we RP Lil.
Oh.
No.
That was a floor roll. It was a 4.
Oh, weird.
just gonna-
So I guess not.
Okay.
So I guess we're just.
Who's going to the bank? All of us?
No, I think. Well, we're asking Lil about.
You were asking about the bank, like where it
There's
is.
a bank she trusts.
Yeah,
Which
somebody
bank?
trusts. And we'll tell her, I guess, the numbers, like how much we're wanting to deposit and everything too, so she has an idea.
Okay. So you go to Lil, you ask this basic information. Lil has had to, I mean, like, she's a business owner, so, like, she obviously has to deal with this kind of stuff as well. In terms of the money amount that you have, there are several, like, smaller banks that are kind of run more, like, privately, but they can't really handle the cash flow that you guys have. They're more for, like, if a farmer needs a small loan, that kind of stuff.
Like small
You're approaching, like a merchant level of money, not the least of which because you have a legitimate business you're running and illegitimate parts of it at the same time. So she recommends that you just go to the Queen's Bank, which is basically like the central Stronghold bank that like all the nobles tie into. Not least of which because if you get a good reputation there, that's not a bad way for nobles to at least be loosely aware of you.
Sorry, what is the bank?
Just the
Bank.
Queen's Bank.
Queens.
It's like the Bank of Canada.
Exactly. It's very much like the central Stronghold bank. In terms of how to get to it, she kind of chuckles and she says like the first time you get to the bank is the hardest. But she said there's a spot in the market rung where they have a branch and you can just go there. But she kind of hints that after that you don't have to do that.
What?
Bring it up.
Just zork the money into space. I mean, they have the teleporter system.
But yeah, it doesn't sound like it's that hard to get to. You guys have probably even walked past the building a couple of times. Like, it's fairly centrally located.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we go to the market rung and...
Am I changing into a horse?
Are we going to talk to Alex first, or
Why are we talking about Alex?
What?
Why are we talking about Alex?
Oh, because
are we not going to talk to the Thieves Guild about it?
No.
No, they said they didn't want to put the money with the Thieves Guild if only half of you are in the Thieves Guild.
yeah, because then if like me and Dis are out of commission, you guys can't get the money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we could discuss some means for them to get it, but
Perhaps. But do you want to leave it to chance, I think was their argument. Not that I get a say. Okay, so is that the plan then? You guys are heading to the bank, the Queen's Bank?
The Queen's Bank.
To the bank.
How are we carrying? Are we doing 2 trips? What are we doing?
Well, it's 15 times our strength,
I can
so
carry 195 pounds.
Nim can carry 115 pounds.
Poor
180
Nim.
pounds for Diz.
That's definitely not
Oh
enough.
no, 165 for Nim. What am I talking about?
That's definitely not
Oh,
enough. Because
I'm
what did you guys say was like 1,600 pounds?
1,200.
1,200 pounds.
So you can carry 130?
165.
165? How much can you carry?
180.
How much?
255.
Them big
Okay,
lizards.
that gives us 795.
So you could do it in 2
2
trips.
trips.
Unless somebody wants to shapeshift or, as you said, create the floating disc and then pile a bunch of gold on it and then cover it with a
We
blanket.
can all double
Could-
what we're holding and
Couldn't we
just
just
take it.
And just be
over-encumber the shit
encumbered.
out of Kenna, and then she could just shift?
Yeah, we can do that too. Actually,
Yeah.
would help.
Yeah.
I could,
Give her the bags.
Yeah, just like pile all the gold on her, that she's just like...
And then she
Yeah,
shapeshifts into a mouse
That's
and
what I was gonna
suddenly
do.
all the gold is gone. Temporal stuff with D&D is real weird. Where does that all go?
They have to
Tell me,
roll
D&D
one.
Very
gods.
specific rules for the druid shifts.
Yeah, thank God you don't have to deal with theoretical physics in
And what
D&D
happens
or
if
that would
you
get a mess.
Drop Kenna, then after she does that into like a bag of holding, you just rip open a hole in the space-time continuum.
It's
Then she
always
suffocates.
bad when you do anything that... anytime you do anything that involves like spatial stuff together, it gets bad. Like that's how bags of holding explode and rip
wait,
towns
wait,
apart.
And everybody within 10 feet of that gets pulled into the astral plane as well.
Yeah, it's never a good time. And that's just what the book says. Imagine what I'll make it do. You have created the end of all things.
they did it again. Ruined the world again.
Wait, but doesn't that mean the Dark Lord's dead?
No, he lives in the void. He's fine. Probably make him happy.
We hit the wrong plane.
God, it's really nice remodeling they did.
All right, so is that the idea then? You guys are just going to kind of over-encumber yourselves and Kenna and just kind of take it slow?
So I'm gonna shapeshift.
Yeah, I think we'll just load up Kenna with a shitload of stuff until she can.
And then
even
we'll all
move.
just take what we can normally carry.
Okay.
Just
Because
gonna
when she
carry
shifts,
me
I
as
guess
a
it just
Yeah.
goes into...
Yeah, druids have the magical
Sorry.
ability to just make shit disappear.
So I guess we each carry our weight, and then she gets the extra weight, so we do one trip.
Yeah, I mean, all you're doing is going to the bank, so I'm not going to get super anal about it.
I just had the visual of us in the bank, and this mouse just pops out, and then just like banks and gold.
I feel like
Just a halfling
it's
there just gets crushed.
I mean, first of all, it's the Queen's Bank. I'm sure most adventurers use it. Lil sure certainly suggested, so I'm sure this isn't the first time somebody's druided their way in with a crap load of loot.
I'm here for a deposit.
We're going to need
One
one
druid,
room to the
please.
side.
Okay, so you guys...
I'll have to get the exact numbers from everyone so that I can input it back into
And then we need, and then we want to
Yeah.
decide how
Yeah,
much.
you guys are going to want to be very careful about how much money... Like make sure you record down well, because they're just going to give you the amount of money you think is in there.
So if you had
Yeah.
something like a fireball that was about to explode, or sorry, if you had some sort of chemical reaction that was about to happen, and then you shapeshifted it away, what happens to that reaction? Is it just
Shapeshifting
pause?
doesn't literally take it away. It just takes everything and compresses it down the same way she does when she goes to mouse form. It doesn't stop time. It doesn't, like, I don't think it removes mass either to a certain degree. So, like, technically speaking, she'll be bombarded with all this stuff, but then one of you will have to carry her and it'll still
But then
probably be pretty heavy.
It has to compress mass because it's still like she would still be able to move normally when she.
Yeah, and it's not like she's human weight while she's a mouse. So yeah, there's a certain amount of reduction, but it doesn't stop time, for example. So like, if you had like a bomb that was about to go off, you can't just like shapeshift into a mouse and it doesn't go off.
But then what if it was requiring something like air or something like that? So when you shapeshifted, it moved into another plane that didn't have air.
Then you get into, you'd have to get much more specific about like trying to figure out how those things would
I was
interact.
thinking if you can weaponize that part of the druid form.
I think you can weaponize pretty much anything in D&D if you put enough thought into it.
Yeah, I'm curious about what kind of. Oh, there's definitely crazy things you can do with that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like that. I read, while you guys are doing your math on your gold, I read a green text a little while ago where somebody was talking about they had an airship and they dropped a copper off the side of the airship, and then when it got a certain distance away, they had their mage true polymorph it to be a meteor
Oh yeah, to get the.
and literally destroyed an entire town with a copper coin.
God damn.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it's not like the rules like...
There's still something I want to see Nim do that he hasn't had a chance to do yet.
Ooh.
With reduce and large.
It's his penis, isn't it?
No. All you have to do is run up to somebody in plate mail and reduce their armor while they're wearing it.
Oh yeah, that would be a problem.
Then you would just get the usual stuff when things are in confined spaces. You'd get that whole force damage roll for being in a confined space.
What if you,
Probably hurt like hell, though.
what if you use that to like compress down things for like a chemical or any sort of reaction? Though you could probably do some crazy stuff.
Just compress down, like,
Oh,
fill
yeah.
with nitric acid, then compress it midair.
Well,
No, yeah, if you want to get into some... But then you have to deal with stuff like, how are you going to synthesize a pure acid like that in a world where
also
that's
unstable,
not
that
really
just shaking it too hard is gonna make it
capable of
explode.
doing that?
Yeah, just think of what. Oh my god, there are options.
Oh yeah, there's some, like I said, when I gave you guys mobs that were immune to magic, I had some things that I thought you guys might think of that like didn't involve you casting magic on the mobs directly, but still involved really screwing them over.
I'm gonna see if we could build like bombs or something like that. Just be like, oh, cat. Some sort of magical concoction
Well, I'll
there.
just enlarge. I'll just reduce their armor, and then Kenna can cast. Oh no, she can't cast heat metal, can she?
Yes, I can.
Or you can, yeah.
She
Because it's
just
not
can't
technically
metal.
a fire spell.
No, I'm just heating up metal.
It's literally the druid I hate metal spell.
Yeah.
Use it on other people.
Okay, so you guys got the numbers you need. We can
Okay.
go to the bank.
So how much are we each keeping on us personally so I can
Whoa. Yeah.
minus that out of here?
So how much gold do we want?
I'm gonna say probably for Nim, like he'll keep 200 gold pieces. No, that's a lot. Probably just 100 gold pieces for now.
Was it 50 coins was a pound?
50 coins is a pound.
I think Lazarus will probably keep like 1,000 of them.
Yeah, I keep 1,000 too. It's 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
I was going to say 500. So,
Okay, I'll say 200 then. I don't need that much gold for him?
I need to throw gold at people and show my wealth.
Or 2,700, sorry.
And I guess once we're at the bank, we can figure out like if we have to melt down platinum into bars or if we can just get them from the.
The bank might have them too
That's what I
already
mean,
pre-made,
that's
right?
Well, I mean, regardless of what we get the bank, how we request it back doesn't matter. We can just request it back in
Okay.
whatever format we want.
So
Sure.
everyone write down how much gold you have then.
That's right here.
No, you like.
Oh, then we're gonna have it
now.
afterwards.
So I've got 14 silver and 1,000 gold.
I have.
We also have silver and stuff that we may as well just deposit.
Yeah, you can also keep it if you don't have a ton on you, but it still counts towards weight. So if you have like 1,000 silver, that's going to be...
Basically, we have 2,000 copper, so may as well just deposit it.
I just realized it was a weird episode this must be to listen to.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It's like everybody comes back and we're just like, all right, let's figure out how the banking situation works.
Well, it's because we've been putting it off, so now we got to deal with it.
That's right. Now you gotta handle it.
What did I say? 200.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm using myself as like just the dumbest things.
Yeah.
Like what happens when you do this?
We got some.
That's it.
Okay. So everybody's ready then? We
So
can go to the
really,
bank?
we don't have to carry as much as we thought we had to carry. I guess we still have to carry it because never mind. But
Yeah.
to the bank. I'll turn into a mouse.
To the
What are
bank.
restrictions on what you can enlarge reduce? Like, what can you do it to?
It says anything. Like,
I think it has to
reduce
be-
the door out of its frame.
Like, I mean, does it have to be like a corporeal object? Can it be like, can you enlarge reaction things? Like, how granular can you get?
No, I think it has
It's
to be
gotta be an
something you
object.
can... Because I think even in the spell it either says object or creature or something like that. Like, you have to be fairly specific.
You can't enlarge the amount of oxygen.
No, that kind of stuff gets a little... Okay, so you guys head to the bank. Loaded up as you are, which I assume is fairly... Like, each one of you is, like, near your weight limit at that point, aren't you?
Or at our weight limit.
Or at the weight limit. So everybody's kind of doing your pockets are a little bigger than they usually are, and you're all kind of doing the slight waddling Western style walk. Each time you take a step, there's the clink, clink, clink. I'm sure it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so you go to the market rung and you start heading for this area where Lil has told you that the bank is. And as you kind of come down the street, you notice that this building that she's instructed you the bank is in is a very nondescript looking building. Like, it's one story. It doesn't even take up a full corner lot on the block. Like, it's quite a small building. Kind of looks a lot like a smaller, like utility building almost. Like one of those like electrical buildings that you see sometimes. Like, it's just a little nondescript brick-ish looking building. Like, it's just this little guy. The only thing that lets you know that anything might be a little bit weird with this building is the fact that there are two very large guards standing out in front of the only door that you see leading into this place.
Nim just looks around and says, "It's a trap! Go, go, go! Get out of here! They're gonna jump us!
I don't know who's carrying you.
My money!"
Who's carrying the golded up mouse, Kenna?
The gilded mouse.
The gilded mouse, Kenna.
One is Dis, 2 is Lazarus, 3 is Nim, 4 is Reroll.
Yeah, who's carrying?
2, Lazarus.
All right.
All right, so the mouse is riding on Lazarus.
Weird. Usually this carries.
Wow.
Reroll?
Are you disappointed you're not in your nest?
I mean,
Yeah, I have. Okay.
this is very
He
impressive.
has a little pocket for me.
It's true. It's part of the clothing.
Yeah, but last time
Is it
wasn't it in
required?
his pants? So I mean,
No. I hid in his pants because.
Well, that's the nest I was referring to.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I thought that was what Lazarus was talking about.
This little pocket there.
She's probably very happy Lazarus is carrying her after the last situation. I forgot.
It was very
completely
awkward.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Wow.
nestled right into the sausage.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
it's pretty legit that Ken is a little gun shy about
Yeah.
being in Dis's pants right
Fair
now.
enough. There wasn't much
Too
space
much
enough for
exposure
that.
to a loaded weapon.
And Lazarus definitely has more space.
Yeah, he doesn't have it.
It's like a window pane.
Smooth like a Ken doll.
That's right. That's why Dis got Sasha. There was obviously no space.
Okay, so
Or so Dis wants.
you guys have seen this building. You've seen the two guards out front. I stopped you there because I know you might want to do something or anything really. So what, do you just strut right up? Are you...
Yeah, I'm gonna...
Which one of us is going to go and do the business?
We can all go up and do the business.
Do we all need to cram inside?
Of course, sir. We have to deposit our money. Hold on. Let's go up and talk to these two gentlemen.
Are they wearing chainmail?
Oh God.
Fuck, they're wearing chainmail.
Yes, they are.
Are they wearing red boots?
They're not wearing the same uniforms that like the guards have been wearing with the big plate mail with the intricate patterns carved into it. These seem to be more like a private guard, and yes, they're definitely both wearing chainmail. They're also fairly physically imposing. Like, they're very much like Lazarus's size, but they're human. So they're big
Just
for
big
humans.
guys.
They're just big
Wearing
dudes.
chainmail.
Do we notice?
I mean, I feel like you guys have definitely had that. You guys are definitely having that moment where you were walking towards the building, but you've seen the front. And you've kind of stopped for a moment. So I mean, they're definitely interested in you because you've kind of stopped. Even so far as to diss specifically you because you're very intently watching them because they're wearing chainmail. You see one kind of leans over and he kind of motions with his head towards you guys just a little bit, and then they seem to be talking about something between the two of them. So they definitely, you've caught their attention.
I guess I'll start going up.
Yeah,
Where?
Up to the guards.
I'll head up too.
Let's go have a talk.
Okay, so you guys begin to approach, and as you approach, one of the bigger guys just kind of sticks his arm out in front of the door. He kind of leans in a little bit, leans back, and looks at Dis. Hey, are you that guy going around saying he's gonna fight people that wear chainmail?
You're damn right.
Well, I mean, I'm at work.
I wouldn't.
Could we do this later?
That's not the main point of why I'm here. But if you do want to get your ass kicked, you can come on down to Lil's in the farming room later.
Well, I don't know if I want to get my ass kicked, but somebody told me you were looking for an ass kick.
Well, I mean, it kind of went the other way around so far, but maybe you'll be the one that can beat me. I doubt it, but...
I give him an obvious, look up and
Very
down.
nice, Master Dis.
But anyhow, sorry. We're here to make a deposit. A big deposit.
A deposit to what?
To the bank that you're standing in front of.
Oh, I see. You'd like to go to the bank. Do you have an existing account?
No, we were hoping to open one.
I see. You'll need to be sent to reception. One moment, please. And he kind of he turns and kind of blocks the door with his body. You hear the rustling of keys.
Oh.
And then a lock opening. And the door kind of opens just a little bit. And you can hear, as the door kind of creaks open, you can hear the sound of lots of people. Of kind of just discussions and things being shouted and stuff like that.
Does it sound a lot louder or a lot more people than what would realistically fit into the place that we see?
Almost certainly.
I figured.
So whatever he uses on the door decides what room gets opened.
When we were watching him unlock the door, is he wearing gloves?
Both of them are wearing gloves.
I guess we're all wearing gloves.
Well, since this is reception,
Please proceed inside, maintain order, and wait for a desk agent to be available.
sounds alright.
Very well. Please continue inside.
Thank you for your time. If you want a closer interaction with the ground, come on by Lil's tonight.
Lil's. Oh, yeah. All right.
Ah, dear.
And he does kind of look over at his buddy, and his buddy kind of looks at him, and they both look at each other, and the one guy doesn't really seem all that into it. He just kind of keeps shrugging. But the one guy that you've been talking to, every once in a while, you catch him just kind of closing and opening his hand, and he's thinking about it. All right, so as they open the door, as I mentioned, you can hear quite a hustle and bustle from inside. And even as you take your steps through it, you basically arrive in, probably the best way to describe it is it's a large marble expanse of a room. It's like somebody took, like the front entryway to a very fancy hotel and just made it a little bigger. It's all made of marble. It's got gold trim, very nice looking interior building. There are people all over the place. There are people sitting on benches. There are people talking to each other. You've even seen a couple of instances where people are changing money, like right there in the middle of the lobby. And then there's a very large bank across the far wall that just has a bunch of slots where people are just kind of waiting for people to step up and talk to them.
Is everyone wearing chainmail in here?
Inside the bank, yeah, probably a couple at least. Like,
does anybody match the full description of? I gotta go through my notes.
You see 6 people in
Red boots.
chainmail.
You're looking for blondie red boots?
Blonde hair, red boots. Was it blue cloak?
Blue cloak.
Nobody matching that exact description.
Okay.
But there are 6 people wearing chainmail, including 2 women.
2 women.
Does this also have a problem with them?
He's not of course he has a problem with that.
No problem with what they're wearing.
Oh dear. Well, on that note, and since you're just about to engage in your banking transactions, we'll take a break there since we're at about an hour, and we'll come back and we'll figure out how this whole thing works. Wow, what a cliffhanger. I wonder what's going to happen next time. Seriously, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in. If you liked what you heard, share us with your friends. If you hated what you heard, share us with your enemies. Seriously, though, like, comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll find out what happens to Double Doubles and Dragons next time.